I distract you from the fact that the weather stinks today for 57 million of us.
Yeah.
That's a lot. PJ's in for Bob.
It is a lot. Good morning, Robin. You know, it's almost...
Do we not before Memorial Day?
We do, but it looks like it begins this weekend and it continues all the way into the Memorial Day weekend. Yeah.
PJ in for Bob. Thank you. You know, police say that they x-rayed a woman's suitcase and found in... He's from the Ivory Coast. His father is accused of paying that woman to smuggle him into Spain. 45 minutes past the hour. You know, the drought in California is apparently so bad that Starbucks is closing its bottling plant in California. What does it mean for you? Money expert Jen kind of maps it out. Good morning.
Good morning. I mean, they're only one out of more than 100, but there's one company that is responding to people's anger. People in California are very upset because they're being asked to sacrifice, to cut back on water use, but not many companies that sell California water. And they say this is a natural resource that we need. Starbucks says they're going to bottle water not in California, but from Pennsylvania instead. The LA Times says, again, there's more than 100 of them, and this is the only one doing anything about it. But Starbucks, of course, is somewhat known for ethics. That's part of their brand, but it's especially known for that when it comes to their water, right? Because it's called ethos. And it's also, they give some of their money to places that are water stressed, to people who need water. So if you're taking it from drought-stressed places. All right, do you remember the big expose we talked about last week? How many manicurists were being exploited? This was a big investigative story in the New York Times. Well, almost immediately after it went viral, New York's governor ordered emergency measures. He said that effective immediately, a task force is going to work on new rules to protect workers from some potentially dangerous chemicals, that workers are going to be told of their rights, and in 6 different languages, and there will be some spot checks at salons. So
you kind of predicted that you were like, hey, I wonder if there's going to be something said, something done based on what this story found.
I found it was a real eye-opener for many people and something that got talked about over the weekend at home, too.
Right.
All right, here's a big one for gamers anyway. Nintendo finally going to have some phone games. They ruled the video game world way back when, but now they're going to say they're going to have 5 mobile games in the next 2 years. But I don't think you can just play the old Donkey Kong on your phone or the old Super Mario Brothers. They say they're going to be new games, but probably featuring some of those older characters.
Oh, they've taken a while to get in the game, haven't they? Speaking of games, nearly 100 singers were in the middle of their concert. Come here and look at this tape. When the stage gave way. And then, some more on what? Tonight you're going to notice, and first off, there's going to be a studio audience, and second, he'll answer their questions about everything, even himself. What advice? It's weird to watch. The stage suddenly collapsed with 80 singers on it. At first, it looks like it's almost meant to be, like it's some type of a lift, but then you realize, oh my gosh, that's not supposed to happen. It happened in Southeast China. Watch. Wow. People ran to help immediately. 8 people were injured. 2 were told are in serious condition. They don't know why this stage collapsed. Thank goodness it wasn't worse than it was. Golfer Ricky Fowler clinched important wins of his career. And lucky him, it came right after people voted him as the most overrated player on the PGA Tour. That was mean, but guess who had the final laugh on that? Hi, Brian.
Right? Good morning, Robin. Yeah, he's
a huge tornado roared through a tiny town in Texas. Dozens of homes were destroyed and damaged. Happy they got detention for wearing girls' shorts to school. They say it shows that their school supports equality. They say they did it because several of the girls got dress code warnings for wearing these shorts earlier in the month, and they wanted to test what happened if they did it.
We wanted to send a message to Grammy to see, for one thing, if they would enforce the rule equally, and we hope they would. If they wouldn't, then we would have been more upset at it. Why would they only target the girls? But then they did, so that was kind of a good thing.
The school board would not talk about how the students were disciplined, but they said that they always enforce the dress code equally. Thousands of gallons of oil may have spilled into the Hudson River in New York. Now, that happened after a fire at a nuclear power plant Saturday. Officials say that the thick black oil is being contained by booms. Nobody got hurt. That nuclear facility tweeted out that the public was not in any danger, but the governor says that they're still going to look at possible effects on the ecosystem. Morning sunshine, up and at 'em. Time for you to be rising and shining, don't you think? It is the top of the hour. Welcome. I'm Robin Meade, and this is what's going on. Well, breaking news from overnight, a tornado destroyed about half of this tiny town in Texas. Emergency crews went door to door in Van, Texas, if you're familiar with that area. They were looking for people who may have been injured by a tornado. They said everybody has been accounted for at last check. But we're told that half of the buildings in the small town of about 2,600 are destroyed. This is 70 miles east of Dallas. 26 people are injured reportedly. Now, over the weekend, it reportedly was pummeled by a tornado too. Several people had to go to the hospital. Homes and other buildings are damaged or destroyed. The Red Cross is providing food and supplies for some of the families who are staying at a gym in a town nearby. So you can see we've had a whole lot of disturbing weather over the weekend, but here's the thing. PJ's in for Bob, and thank you so much. Appreciate it. The dad of one of the two police officers shot over the weekend in Mississippi says his son wanted to be an officer since he was a child.
Ever since he
Line of duty in Hattiesburg. 3 of the suspects were arrested hours afterward. 4 people now face charges total, though. 2 face capital murder charges. The 3rd is charged with accessory after the fact. And a reporter from WDAM was there when the suspect, Curtis Banks, was being led away. And they're expected to make their first appearance in court today. Former President Jimmy Carter had cut a trip short because he wasn't feeling so hot. No word on what's wrong, what made him sick, but Carter left Guyana yesterday, and he was monitoring the elections there. So his team has stayed on, and they're going to update him. Concussions in health news can make it harder for students to concentrate and keep up in their schoolwork. Researchers followed kids between the ages of 5 and 18, and they found the kids with concussions needed some extra attention and some support while they were recovering. And they also noted that children should not push themselves to return to a normal workload at school too quickly because it can make the symptoms even worse at first. The defense for Jahar Zanai visits today and then rests its case. Now, the judge has not decided yet whether prominent death penalty opponent Sister Helen Prejean is going to be allowed to testify. She wrote the book called Dead Man Walking. Had to be rescued by the Coast Guard. They were called to Saddle Mountain. That's in Seaside, Oregon. After the woman apparently passed out from heat exhaustion, the 24-year-old was taken up by the helicopter and then gone to a hospital via helicopter. And we don't have any word on how she is now. Hope better. You know, thousands of people chanted no curfew during Prince's Rally for Peace concert in Baltimore yesterday. Has fallen in South Dakota on Mother's Day. Rapid City, South Dakota. I am so sorry that you saw snow on Mother's Day. By noon, we're talking 13 inches of this stuff. No, thank you. There were travel advisories throughout the state. Parts of the highway had to be closed for a time, and some cars and trucks ended up stuck because who would expect it this time of the year? Snow fell in Colorado, too, on Mother's Day. So much of it, at least in Denver, that it brought down some of the trees. It did cause some power outages. Now, apparently, it's not unusual to see some winter storms there in May. But I still feel sorry.
Yeah,
No.
typically the last snowstorm happens late April, the first week of May. So this is kind of the tail end of when
They're
you
a hardy bunch, I tell you. A hardy bunch. We do have severe weather risk today. PJ's in for Bob, and it's going to show you where. Good morning.
Yes, yeah, you know, and it starts in the...
Sarah is caught on tape chasing a group of tourists away. Apparently, she did not like how close they were about to be to her baby cubs. This is in Yellowstone. The cubs are about a year old. And wildlife officials note that she would have been more aggressive had those babies been even younger. The park says people should always try to stay about 100 yards away from the wildlife there, the wild animals. Keurig is saying we messed up when we changed those machines to see if you're using Keurig-only cups. So what are they going to do to fix that? And then Bobby Christina's grandma is sharing new information. First Michelle Obama says that she was held to a higher standard than other candidates' wives during the 2008 campaign because of a race. Who turned 21 last month. His mom says, Andrew Sudbury, be our guest. Go get their salute on the air by going to hlntv.com/Robin. So Keurig says it got it wrong by forcing you to use just their brand of K-Cups in the machines. Now, Jen notes that you still can't use other brands of cups in those brewers, but there is an admittance of sodas.
This is what I mean, right? It sounds like a sorry.
Yeah, I was like, I was about to say apology, but I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you read the fine print, the headlines look so good. Yeah, hoo-hoo, I'm getting my Keurig back. Basically, remember that they changed strategy sharply. Many people felt betrayed when Keurig suddenly said, our new machines are going to force you to use our drinks, not those other drinks that you like. Yeah. Until their sales tanked. I'm talking for 6 months. Then their stock tanked too. Sometimes in the stores I've been seeing them on sale. They have too many out there. CEO says, quite honestly, we were wrong. And they said they're changing strategy, but listen to what they're changing. What they will allow you to use is, see that? So that's a K-Cup that might not necessarily be Keurig. Okay. Here's what I mean. You're going to be able now to...
Here's something when we get to the $3 mark. Yeah. So let's hope we don't for a little while, I guess. Unless you work in the oil industry, then you're like, okay, this helps me. There's always a flip side to everything, right? A high school principal's comments at graduation had people headed straight for the door. She is apologizing, but also blaming the devil. And dozens of police officers...
Lost too. At home.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So dozens of police officers were called in to break up a massive Mother's Day brawl in Massachusetts at Revere Beach Sunday night. 300 people were involved, and at least 7 are arrested. Nobody was injured. They don't know how this got started, but listen to this. It is the second brawl at the same beach in the past 2 weeks. The founder of an alternative school in Georgia is apologizing, blaming the devil for her comments at graduation. Now, a lot of people are focused on one particular comment, saying it is racist. Mike Alanos points out, as he looked back at some of the tape from the same event, it's not the only thing that people noticed about her comments at this event. There were others that led up to this moment. Good morning.
Good morning. And I just watched, like two minutes ago, another YouTube clip that again just shows Alanos HLN.
On the South at Robin Meade. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
So police x-rayed a woman's suitcase. They say they found inside a little boy. Alive, but a little boy. Morning, 30 minutes past the hours. Maybe you go, who is going to get that coffee going for me? If it's like my house, it's going to be you. I'm Robin Meade, and the headlines today. Well, first off, 2 officers killed during a traffic stop are going to be honored today, accounted for in Van, Texas, after a tornado apparently hit that small town last night. This is east of Dallas. Appreciate it, in Van, Texas. You know, the threat level at hundreds of U.S. military bases went up because of the threat of ISIS-inspired attacks. The FBI has increased its monitoring of suspected ISIS supporters in the United States. Now, one official says we're trying to shake this. That's how they put it. That comes after 2 men opened fire outside a Prophet Muhammad art contest last Sunday in Garland, Texas. One of them apparently had direct contact with an ISIS recruiter. The grandmother of Bobby Christina Brown says the 22-year-old's condition has not improved much since she's been in the hospital. Now, here's what she told Entertainment Tonight. It's getting rave reviews for its edgy sketch that alluded to last week's shooting at a Prophet Muhammad art contest in Garland, Texas.
Your category is trendsetters, and here's what you'll be drawing today.
All right.
Now remember, Daniel, if you want, you can trade with a teammate.
I want to trade. Thank you. It's about time. You want to see how it's done? Fine. Let me just read the clue.
You can do it.
Not doing it.
Urkel would do it.
All right, give me the pen.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's time. Tara, your final guess. What did they draw?
I don't know. The Prophet Muhammad?
Oh, my goodness. That is correct. Wowie, wowie.
So that's Reese Witherspoon in the sketch who hosted Saturday Night Live over the weekend. Police in Spain opened a woman's suitcase and they say that they found an 8-year-old boy inside alive. Now, police say they noticed a woman nervously wheeling a suitcase down the street and they suspected maybe she was smuggling drugs. Well, that's when they found the boy inside after x-raying the bag. We have severe weather possibly on tap for close to 60 million people, 57 million if you want to count it up. In the southeast. Yeah. You know, 3 moms were practically speechless when the president called them to wish them Happy Mother's Day. Says he had to miss a show because he broke his nose on the tour bus. Melissa Knowles is here with that and other stories that are trending today. Good morning. Family off of a flight, but the mom says the problem started when she asked for a hot meal for her daughter who has autism. He's going to pray more. The drought in California is so bad that Starbucks is closing its bottling plant in California, and our money expert Jen has more on that. Good morning.
Good morning. And you can see why people are saying, hey, I have to give up water, but companies are bottling our water and they don't have to give up anything. There's been a lot of upset around bottling water, a natural resource, obviously, in California. Now, Starbucks is going to be it seems like one of the first or the few to say they won't do it anymore. They'll be bottling their water instead from springs in Pennsylvania. The Los Angeles Times says, for now, it seems to be one of the only bottlers doing this, responding to the criticism. There are more than 100 other companies bottling water there now. Now, by the way, for Starbucks making this move, particularly crucial to their brand. They are seen as a company that cares about ethics. The water is called Ethos, so ethics is built into its names, and they use their profits to help people who are stressed because they don't have enough water. So you can see why they need to change things there. Remember the big expose last week in the New York Times? How many manicurists are being exploited? How a cheap pedicure may really end up costing that person who's doing your nails? Almost immediately after the story went viral, New York's governor ordered emergency measures. Governor Cuomo saying that a task force is going to work on new rules to protect workers from some potentially dangerous chemicals. They're also going to have spot checks at some of the salons, and they're going to inform workers of their rights and in 6 different languages. This is big news for gamers. Nintendo's finally going to have a game that goes on your phone. I mean, they ruled the video game universe way back when, and they've pretty much been non-existent in the new world on your phones. Nintendo says they're going to have 5 mobile games in the next 2 years and 1 this year, but they say it's not going to be the old Super Mario Brothers or Donkey Kong that you're playing. They say they're going to have new games, but likely they'll have some of those old characters. Robin.
Okay, thanks. So it seemed to happen in slow motion. Nearly 100 singers were in the middle of their concert, but the stage gave way. More on that tape. That at last check, 10 people were unaccounted for in the town of Van, Texas, after a tornado reportedly ripped through that small town. Michelle Obama says that she was held to a higher standard than the other candidates' wives during the 2008 campaign because of race.
Then there was the first time I was on a magazine cover. It was a cartoon drawing of me with a huge afro and a machine gun. Now, yeah, it was satire, but if I'm really being honest, that knocked me back a bit.
Coast Guard. They were called to Saddle Mountain in Seaside, Oregon, after the woman apparently passed out from heat exhaustion. Now, the 24-year-old was taken by helicopter to the hospital, and we don't have an update on how she now is doing. Breaking news overnight, a tornado destroys part of a small town in Texas, and we've learned today that at last check, people are unaccounted for. Now, some states are dealing with twisters, others were dealing with Mississippi. Family over the weekend once talked about how thankful he was when he graduated from the police academy. Rookie officer LaCorey Tate wrote on Facebook,
That's what
and the list goes on and on, like Constantine, who I performed with recently.
You're going to miss it, I feel like. You're Big fan.
I am a big fan, but then it's launched so many different careers. Yes. I had a hard time listing even half of them. So thousands of gallons of oil may have spilled into the Hudson River in New York. Now, it happened after a power plant Saturday. Officials say that the thick black oil is being contained by booms. Nobody got hurt. The nuclear facility tweeted out that the public was not in danger. But the governor says they're still looking at possible effects on the ecosystem. Some high school boys in Virginia showed up to school in girls' shorts. They say they were testing equality. And then, look behind you. These tourists, anyway. Mama Bear does not like the path you have chosen. HLNTV.com/Robin. You know, some guys at a high school in Norfolk, Virginia say that they're happy that they got detention for wearing girls' athletic shorts to school. Keurig says that they got it wrong by forcing you to use their brand of K-Cups. Now, Jen notes you still can't go and use other brands of cups in those brewers. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I mean, I think when you first see the headlines out there, if this is a story that affected you, you're going to say, hip, hip, hooray. It sounds like Keurig is saying sorry, but are they? Wait for the fine print. Now, maybe remember that their new coffee machines basically force you to use only their kinds of coffee instead of other brands had made coffee in K-Cups that many people came to love. So when this changeover happened, wow, sales tanked in the first 6 months of the year. When that came out on Wall Street, their stock tanked too. Brian Kelly, CEO, quite honestly, we were wrong. But what's the change that they're making?
And Texas this hour. By the way, PJ's in for Bob, and he has the forecast of who stands to see severe weather today that is still coming. 33 minutes past the hour. Hillary Clinton and Ted Cruz generated the most chatter on Facebook in the first 24 hours of their presidential campaign announcements when you compare it to the other candidates. Now, that includes likes and shares and comments, positive and negative. Clinton had more than 10 million references on Facebook. Cruz got 5.5 million when he jumped into the race. Now, when it comes to likes only, Rand Paul got the most on his page. The founder of an alternative school in Georgia says the devil made her say it. She is apologizing for what...
Rancorous. She lost control of that crowd early on. So let's show you that. So reportedly, she said, if you have babies, duct tape their mouths shut. So that's one of the early comments. And then a little bit later on, she's upset because she had forgotten about the valedictorian speech, had dismissed everybody, given out the diplomas, tries to reel everybody back in. Valedictorian starts the speech, and somebody comes up with the iPad to try and film it. That made her mad, and that's where we pick up the
That made her mad.
Yep,
Let's listen.
I think y'all owe this young man an apology, especially that goober that was coming through with his little thing. That was so rude. Where are you, you little coward? Come on back up here, let's talk. She is really out of line now.
Don't tell my daughter she that.
Wow. After she had forgotten the speech
Yes.
and then wanted everyone to come back in, and someone was taping it. But that led to even more.
Yeah, and that led to the comment. Somebody left there. It was a white couple with a baby who had left. Some people had applauded that. And then she turns her attention to black people in the crowd who were leaving, and that's where you get the controversial comment, and here it is.
Look who's leaving, all the black people.
And after that, what happened in
It
the
was
crowd?
over at that point.
People stood
and
up.
a different view than this tape here. You could see some of the students, mostly African-American students, who just got up and left at that point. People were ready to go up to the front and confront this director of a small private school. So you're hoping...
But she founded the school, right?
She founded the school. You're thinking this is going to be this intimate environment to congratulate everybody, but it surely didn't turn out that
In
way.
all of this, the poor valedictorian, I don't know if that person ever got to
From what I saw, no, and from what I read, never got to complete the speech. It was over at that point. Now, this director, Nancy Gorduke, is apologizing, so here's part of that.
I got really frustrated and said, you know, y'all are being really rude to this young man and disrespectful to not listen to his speech. And then I turned my head, and who I saw leaving were black people. And that's where the statement came. I'm sorry it happened. So sorry, but God has forgiven me, and we'll just go forward from there.
And we'll see if the students and parents forgive moving forward. Our viewers are weighing in, Robin. Here's what they're saying on Facebook. He says, when you're in that position, you have to be very careful how you say things. Calling out a race of people is not acting in a professional manner. Denise on Facebook, I don't agree with the comments at all. I also don't agree with the rude behavior of the people at the ceremony. And Patty tweeted you, Robin, saying, is it racist when you make an observation? You can keep your comments coming. Tweet me at MichaelAnos,
Mike, thank you. So there is an allegation that President Obama lied about how Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden was killed. The accusation comes from a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. In 2011, the president said that they had tracked down Osama bin Laden a massive Mother's Day brawl. Mother's Day brawl in Massachusetts at Revere Beach. This is Sunday night. 300 people were involved, say authorities. Well, at least 7 are arrested. Nobody's injured. Police don't know how this whole thing got started, but mind you, it's the second brawl to break out at the beach in the past 2 weeks. 20 minutes to the hour. Let's look again to see who's in line for severe weather today. And there's different kinds of the warm kind on the front and the cold kind on the back. Good morning.
We've got the snow. Good morning. We've got the snow. Of course, the hail is in there, as well as the severe weather. And the tornado threat is going to be diminished a little bit today. So that's the good news. But I foresee a lot of large hailstones coming down across portions of the Midwest. The best bet for tornadoes will be around western Ohio and also eastern.
Donkey Kong might fit in your pocket. An old giant in the video game business is taking aim at your smartphone. And then nearly 100 singers were in the middle of their concert when the stage gave way. Southeast China. At first, it looks strange, like it's on a lift or something. But no, it collapses. For the crew to kick off an entire family. The mom says the problem started when she asked for a hot meal for her daughter, who also has autism.